Hello nerds and welcome to On Cooldown, where we tell you what's what. Today we are looking at Classic WoW, available for download and what to expect. Shadow Priest changes in 8.1, Azerite vendor and more cool traits. My name is Orc and I am here to bring some light on the happenings of last week, so grab onto your seats, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but first, a word from our sponsors. Are you tired of watching big name channels? Wow! Do you enjoy high quality videos from two nerds that look like they could be father and son? Then what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now and get your very own newsfeed at Marcelian&Flame. You'll be guaranteed daily videos and 2 happy nerds. If you want to support the nerds even more, then roll healer and join them for Mythic Plus and arenas. I'm just kidding, healers are for girlfriends. Well, I suppose you can visit our Patreon page instead and show us how deep your support is. Let's start today's episode with 8.1 goodies and our biggest concern in the game at the moment, Azerite. In patch 8.1, we will be able to obtain Azerite impurity from weekly mythic chests and by scrapping Azerite armor, although the rate is not known and most likely subject to multiple changes. We do know that there are 2 things you can do with it. You can either spend it for a chest containing a chest, helm or shoulder piece, but the pieces are randomized. The cost depends on the eye level you are aiming for, with normal level gear costing 125 Azerite impurity, heroic will be 400 and mythic will be 1250. Of course, this is not all, since getting it random was the issue to begin with. Now we can also choose which one we want, but it will cost us 3250 currency and it will be mythic level gear. This is a huge discrepancy between the costs, but I really like this type of system. I've been wanting this gearing system for dungeons for a few years now. Adding currency obtainable from dungeons and maybe in the future from other sources is a good way to add worthwhile replayability. Each time you do a dungeon, of course you have the RNG of it dropping something useful or not, but you get the currency in the weekly chest. Currency is rewarded weekly, but if you get an Azerite piece, you can scrap it for more currency. Of course, this is just talk at the moment, since we don't know how much Azerite impurity will be in the weekly chest, which I imagine might scale with the dungeon difficulty. But Blizzard did say they want this to offer the players a random chest of their choice once every 3 weeks, so it's possible we can expect a targeted mythic piece to be around 6 weeks worth of farming. But I can be wrong since I am speculating. They did say that the reward will cap at mythic plus 10. At the same time, we have new Azerite traits announced for 8.1 and they look good, pretty much like most 8.1 traits so far. Some of them seem to buff certain class mechanics like Demon Hunter's Leech Sustain, while others like Warlock's Pandemic Invocation makes it so refreshing the dot to benefit from the Pandemic mechanic will reward you with damage and shard generation, essentially rewarding a solid rotation. We won't go into each one, but overall impressions, traits are looking good and they are providing Blizzard with a platform to further balance classes and specs by adding appropriate traits. Moving forward, we have Shadow Priest news. Oh yeah, this is exactly what we were hoping for. The new Shadow Priest changes coming in 8.1 and they are also looking very good. Most of them revolve around Void Form and how it has been played as opposed to how it will be played. Firstly, we get 20% extra spell damage as opposed to the existing 10% on Light. The Insanity drainage has been slowed and Void Bolt Insanity generation buffed by 25%, so that Void Form overall lasts longer. Going into BFA, it seems the devs intended to nerf Void Form so as to not feel like a huge negative impact when you leave it, but in doing so they have over-nerfed it. Classic Blizzard over-nerf. As such, the changes are meant to ease in the concept of Void Form being badass and that you should use it every time. Dispersion has also been buffed to reduce 75% of the damage received as opposed to 60%, and it will increase movement speed by 50% as opposed to 0, to offset the downside of not being able to cast spells. With this, a new talent will replace Mania that currently increases move speed based on insanity levels. The new talent will reduce the cooldown of Dispersion by 25% and gives it a heal over time that will heal you for 50% of your max health. Super nice. This will definitely make Dispersion a much stronger defensive. Along the lines of defensives, Shadow Form will lose its 10% physical damage reduction, being replaced with Focused Will as a 15% damage reduction for 8 seconds after being hit, same as other specs. The change was made again to offset the downside of leaving Shadow Form to enter Void Form and lose the damage reduction. The PvP talent Hallucinations will also be a baseline passive for the spec. A few talents have been changed, additionally making some cooldowns more worthwhile. Cooldowns like Void Torrent and Surrender to Madness. Overall, I like what I'm seeing. I'm not a priest player, but I like the fantasy of the spec added with the Surrender to Madness spell. I like the risking old god corruption for ultimate power type mentality, and I cannot wait to see it in action, since I am a big fan of the Shades of Grey concept.
Take off your panties. Do it now.
I am planning on leveling a priest for the first time, just to experience the shadow gameplay and surrender myself to madness and finally understand people who wear Crocs. Blizzcon is only a week away, and next Friday expect a lot of stuff up on our channel, and one of the biggest things will of course be Classic WoW. Speaking of which, the client is available for pre-download. If you have the virtual ticket bought or the digital goodies code added to your account, you should be able to download the client by going into the region section of the launcher, similar to the PTR and beta clients. Data mining has also started for the vanilla server, but since BlizzCon will only give us a limited content to play, we will keep that for another video. As for what we can actually do in the demo, we have clarifications for that as well. Firstly, the character that we will create will be level 15. They said, and fair enough, there isn't much to do starting at level 1, and with level 15 we can essentially start in one of the two most iconic vanilla zones, Barrens for the Horde and Whistle for the Alliance. Dungeons will also be disabled, at least for the demo, and there will be a limited time we can play. Essentially they made this into a buff called BlizzCon Exhaustion, where you can only play for a certain amount of time, after which you have a cooldown period that so-called recharges your BlizzCon exhaustion, so you can play some more afterwards. This is meant so that everyone gets a chance to play, leading me to believe the server will have a limited capacity for players. With a level cap of 19, we will be able to experience the first talent rows and the professions. Are you guys hyped for Classic? Marcel and I have been discussing making content for it, and we would love to know what you guys think, and maybe what you are hoping to see here on our channel. Although pretty much everything is as vanilla as can be, a few more modern changes will be added to the menu. Since the game will run in Battle.net, we will have Battle.net chat, as well as more updated social windows for friends lists and such. The client will not support 32-bit systems and has an improved support, however, for widescreen monitors. As a vanilla player myself, I am looking forward to experience some classic nostalgia, especially since I played vanilla on private servers, so a lot of things might actually be new for me as well. Thanks for sticking around for the video, and I hope you guys had an amazing week and an even better weekend ahead. Hit us up in the comment section with thoughts on BlizzCon and what you will be mostly excited about. Until next time guys, peace!